Okay, well, hello everyone. Welcome to our presentation. Like Josh said, my name is Natalia Hernandez and I'm a graduate student at ONF, a graduate assistant. And today we'll be presenting a little bit, giving a brief overview on some summer fellowships for you to get involved in. Let's see here. Okay, so first off, we have the Gilman Scholarship. This scholarship aims to support traditionally underrepresented students. This can be in any group, depending on, if you're a first generation student, if you have high financial need, any underrepresented majors, any diverse ethnic backgrounds. It just basically is a scholarship to support these students in underrepresented areas, travel and pursue an education abroad. So what this scholarship provides, it provides funding of up to 5,000 max for tuition, room and board, books, airfare, and transportation. And additionally, it'll give you $3,000 in funding if you're traveling to a region that speaks a critical need language. So a language that's not, too popular like Spanish or French or something like that. So in order to be eligible, you must be a Pell Grant recipient at the time of application. Additionally, you should be applying or already accepted to a study abroad or internship that you're receiving for credit with FSU. And also you should be studying or interning for at least 3 weeks in one country. So applying to the scholarship. So of course, you have to complete an online application. You have to upload your current official transcripts. You have to provide online certifications, and you have to complete 2 essays, and they include a statement of purpose and a follow-up service project proposal. And you can learn more about that on their website, but the deadline to apply for that is March 2nd. So next we have Freeman-Asia. So this fellowship, it provides need-based scholarships for undergraduate students who primarily focused in studying abroad in East or Southeast Asia. It stipulates, however, in this fellowship that the recipients of these fellowships, they must be able to share their experiences during the first semester. And this is really in an effort to promote study abroad and the understanding of, this opportunity within that area. So for eligibility, you have to be receiving need-based financial aid. You must have a minimum 2.8 GPA. And at the time of applying, you must have at least 1 semester of school left after you return from your fellowship experience. And additionally, you should have applied or been accepted to a study abroad program for credit at FSU. And the deadline for this is March 30th. And lastly, we have the, we have the US-UK Fulbright Summer Institute. These are very interesting. They're about, a 3 to 6 week long program at a university in the UK that fosters really the opportunity for students to explore, the culture, the heritage, and, develop their, presentation, their research, their communication skills. The opportunity is available to freshmen and sophomores. You must have a 3.7 GPA. And the fellowship includes, round trip airfare, tuition, room and board, and housing costs. So within this program, there are quite a few institutes available in 2021. The first one, if you're interested, is Identity and Nationhood. And this is where you'll be looking at contemporary issues in Wales. Next, they have Arts, Activism, and Social Justice, and that would be at the University of Bristol. And third, they have Technology, Innovation, and Creativity, and that would be in Scotland. So when you're applying to this program, you will select one institute, the one that you're primarily interested in. You'll complete the online application, and within that application, you'll list 2 references, one primarily academic, like a professor, and you complete a self-assessment and 2 one-page essays. These include the personal statement and a prompt that's given from the fellowship program. And the deadline is coming up soon. It's at the end of February. So now, next we have Josh will continue on.
Yeah, thank you so much. So you might be thinking right now that well, these fellowships are all about study abroad, and I think that right would seem true at this moment. But I want to point out that there's actually a lot of variety here, and so the next few examples that we're going to be talking about are a little bit more diverse in the types of experiences. But by and large, the awards we work with serve some sort of purpose, whether it's funding international experiences specifically with the focus of diversifying who goes abroad from the United States, to specifically where people go abroad with Freeman-Asia focused on East Asia, to having a cohort-like experience with the US UK Summer Institutes. So from here, maybe you're thinking, well, I'm a STEM student and I'm expected to do research abroad. Well, here's a really fantastic opportunity for you to do that. So NSF-REU stands for National Science Foundation. It's a federal organization that funds a great deal of research around this country, and a lot of the STEM research done at FSU has some NSF funding connected to it. REU standing for Research Experience for Undergraduates. So the purpose here is to give students an opportunity to do research at a university somewhere around this country. Most of it takes place around the country. Some of it actually happens internationally as well. If like it's an archaeological dig and it's in Colombia or something, then you'd go with this American professor from blank university to that dig spot. But by and large, this is happening in the U.S. This is a really fantastic opportunity for you if you're just getting into research. If you so that probably covers a number of you, and then or maybe there's some research topics that you're interested in that aren't being tackled at FSU. Maybe we don't have the right resource for the topic that you're interested in. Then this is an opportunity for you to go and explore that idea at a different university. Or third reason I've seen students really enjoy NSF experiences is to go get involved in a lab that you might be interested in being in during graduate school. So if you're like, I'm really looking at University of Florida as a good grad school because there's this one professor doing this one project. Well, then perhaps they're on the NSF site and they can you can go and join them in their research project for the summer, and you get to get a feel for what their lab culture is like, and see if it's a good fit for you. So those are just a few reasons I've seen people utilize this. The way this program's set up is that it's rather than one application, it's basically NSF website. So if you were to just basically type in NSF-REU in your Google form, NSF website will just have a list of various fellowship opportunities that you can get involved in. And you just click on any of them that you're interested in, and it takes you to that university's website and with a explanation of how to apply. Typically, it's a brief essay, usually a personal statement, a paragraph, a page, somewhere around there, a CV with your research experience or academic experience, and maybe a recommendation or two. It really varies from location to location, but these are really fantastic opportunities if you're looking for a research experience over the summer. It says that there are opportunities for STEM and non-STEM disciplines, as long as it's NSF funded, which includes some of the social sciences, so some of the softer sciences, psychology is on there as well, then you might be able to find a project that speaks to you. So it's definitely one worth looking out for. And this funds stipends, housing, meals, travel to and from the site. So it's a pretty well-covered program. Would you mind going to the next slide, Natalia? Okay, so maybe you're like, well, STEM isn't for me. My goal is to work in international affairs. Well, then the Rangel Summer Enrichment Program might be a good fit for you. This program is designed for undergraduates who are interested in international affairs. You don't have to know specifically what career you want within it, because the whole purpose of this program is to really introduce you to the variety of careers available in international affairs. It's most people come to international affairs saying, I want to be a diplomat, and that's great. And certainly a lot of future diplomats go through this program. but this shows you like, hey, there's diplomacy is fantastic, Department of State works great, but here are a bunch of other careers that also exist out there for someone with your academic background and interests. And so it helps to either solidify that, you know, that diplomacy is the right route for you, or helps to challenge that in a way that makes you think, well, actually, there are things that fit me better. There are opportunities, careers, and opportunities that fit me better. In addition, this also prepares you for graduate school, because you end up taking the cohort of Rangel scholars, is what they're called when they participate in this program. The cohort of Rangel scholars take a couple of courses, graduate level courses in U.S. foreign policy, um, and um, and so this prepares you for going to graduate school, which they encourage. Would you mind going to the next slide, Natalia? So what are the benefits of the program? So you and your cohort, it's usually about 15 students, live at Howard University in Washington, D.C. You take classes at Howard University, and you participate in a variety of programs with foreign affairs professionals at Howard, as well as going to diverse locations around DC. And so here you get to take tours of the Institute of International Peace, you know, the Department of State, various NGOs. It's really a fantastic program, and in a wonderful location for such a program for someone who's really looking at careers in international affairs. What does this cover? It covers cost of tuition, travel, housing, and 2 meals per day, and provides you with a stipend of $3,200 for the time during the experience. Eligibility is right there, and the deadline this year is February 9th, 2021. So if this is something you're interested in, please reach out to us. Like, go ahead and send Natalia or I an email. Natalia, if you don't mind just tossing our email addresses into the chat. Go and send Natalia and I an email like today, and we'd be happy to start working with you on the application as early as next week. Would you move on to the next one? Cool. And so the last fellowship we're going to talk about today is the Humanity in Action Fellowship. This one's for people interested in human rights and social justice as a area of interest. Doesn't have to be your focus of study, but definitely something that you're passionate about. So this fellowship explores issues of democracy, pluralism, human rights, and social justice. This one also conveniently this year is going to be remote, and so you can do this from wherever you are. And so if one of the drawbacks of all of the other experiences we've talked about is that it requires travel, this does not. This is, you know, wherever is convenient for you, wherever you're going to be this summer, you can participate in this. It's a year-long experience is how they couch it, but the part one is a month of intensive focus on the ideas of injustice, struggle within the context of a community, and so typically HIA occurs internationally, and there are 5 locations in Europe. But this year, because of COVID, they're going to be doing it all remotely this coming summer. And in that being said, they're still going to be couching there's still going to be like a Berlin group. There's still going to be a Copenhagen group, even though you're meeting with that group remotely. So when it says that fellows are challenged to understand the host city's unique history of injustice and its present struggles to encompass groups with minoritized cultures and identities and the future of its democratic values, that is to say that even though it's happening remotely, you're still like a part of the Copenhagen Fellowship group and still discussing those topics as it relates to that city. So they use each location as a way to illustrate topics that each of the locations are covering separately. And then the idea is that this experience, your interactions with your cohort, your experiences in the presentations and whatnot, are supposed to give you a tool set that you can use to make a difference in your home community. And so part 2 of the fellowship experience is that you come back to the US, and maybe it's Tallahassee, Florida, and you engage in some form of meaningful impact. And that's the action project that's being talked about there. And so you get the support of your humane, as the Humane Action Network supports you through that process. And after that year in the action project, you become officially a Humanity Action Fellow, and that's something you get to, a title you get to wear the rest of your life. And the perks are, because we've had a number of students go through this program, the perks are that you get access to different fellowships and funding opportunities for future opportunities. I've seen documentaries made by former fellows who have really like used grant funding from the fellowship to make some really cool films about topics of great importance to them. Would you mind going one slide over, Natalia? So the virtual locations: Amsterdam, Berlin, Sarajevo, and Warsaw. I said 5. There used to be Copenhagen. It looks like this year it'll just be these 4 here. And so just as an example, when thinking about how they contextualize these topics within a city, if you're in Berlin, they're going to be talking about the rise of National Socialism, and so historicizing this. And then they're going to be talking about, how Germany is handling the influx of migrants and refugees, and how, even though the country has agreed to take all of these refugees, how it's affecting the culture and how different members of the society are struggling with the idea of pluralism and things like that. Um, so here are the requirements. Current full-time student, English speaking your first language, or you can be a recent graduate as well. This one is due February 14th. So another one that if you're interested in getting involved in, reach out to Natalia and I today, tomorrow, and we can get you on our calendars in the next week. Take a look at the application. Really, really cool application. It's sorry, Natalia. They have some really good prompts in the app that are require a little bit of thought and some research, but I think are really good in helping you to think through some really difficult topics. So that's the last I'll say about that. And yeah, if you don't mind transitioning, thank you. So what does ONF do? Like we've told you about all these 6 opportunities, and that's not it. That's not all we do. We don't just say, hey, these exist, go and apply. But we actually work very closely with our applicants. So for instance, I'm working with students who are completing an application that's due tomorrow. And I've been meeting with them once a week for since probably November in many cases, to help them put together the strongest application that they can for the deadline that is tomorrow. And so that's what we're offering you all as well. We are here to introduce you to the fellowships, to walk you through the application process, and to work very closely with you as you make progress on your application. A lot of our time is spent with students, giving them feedback on essays, reading your essays, meeting with you, giving you feedback on those essays, and challenging you, usually in most cases, to dig deeper. We're usually pushing you to think more critically about the topic, which in most cases is you. You've been taught to critically analyze data. You've been taught to critically analyze works of art. Rarely are you asked at the college level to turn that lens on yourself. And so that's what these applications do. They're going to say, no matter what you're applying for, whether it's NSF-REU or the Gilman scholarship, they're all asking you, who are you? Who do you want to be in your future? And how does this experience get you a step closer to that goal? And so you have to dig pretty deep. You can't be surface level. And so that's where we come in. We are here to push you to write the most compelling essays you can. And I think whether or not you end up receiving the awards, you usually walk away with a better understanding of who you are and an ability to articulate that for others. And so I think you can't really lose. So if you're interested in any of these experiences, Natalia, if you don't mind hitting the next slide, we are here to help you. So that's our contact information there. There's not just Natalia and myself, but also our colleagues. And so if you liked what we talked about but didn't care for either of us, then please feel free to contact Jesse, Paige, or Craig. They would be happy to chat with you as well. And we will not be heartbroken. We just want you in our office. Cool. With that, Natalia, let's take a look at the chat box and see if there are any questions we can answer for everyone. Oh, and would you mind, Natalia, leaving the contact page up? I think people.
Of course, yeah.
I'll pull up the chats. Let's see what we got here. So yeah, great questions so far. I know I responded to a couple. Looks like some of the audience actually responded to each other as well, which is really useful. Oh, so first question that I don't think has been answered yet is from Emily Mueller. Emily, no, these are not scholarships offered by ONF. So this isn't money coming out of our office. These are actually national, or in the case of HIA, international. I don't think I mentioned that HIA, the cohort, is also made up of Europeans as well. So our job is not necessarily to fund the experience, but to help you win them. Okay, moving on. Okay, I've lost my place. Here we go. Okay, so will there be information on assistantships? If you're referring to graduate assistantships, no. What we focus on are predominantly fellowships and scholarships, awards that have some sort of funding as well as cohort building experience. So it's experiential learning outside of Florida State University. And then I think this question is specifically for US-UK Fulbright Summer Institute. Can we choose an institute that isn't relevant to our major? Absolutely. As long as you can reflect a strong interest in the topic and you can point to that interest in your essays, then by all means, it does not have to be directly related to your major. And I think that's especially true of something like the US-UK Summer Institute, where they're specifically targeting freshman and sophomore students. So they know that you're, your early days in figuring out where your life is going. And so they don't expect you to have it all set and everything has to be directly related. They want you to make a good case for getting off a beaten path, leaving the paradigm, as they say. And then can we potentially apply for next summer rather than this one due to coronavirus concerns? Absolutely. Yeah, Lauren, if we're telling you this information and you're going to say, I'm going to put it in my pocket until next year, fantastic. We are happy to still have conversations with you early on about it, because I think the earlier you can plan for any of this, the better. And that's just happens to be the case with all fellowships. So if you're interested in these topics, but you don't see yourself applying this year, I would still encourage you to set up an appointment with us so that we can just talk about you, what you're doing, and how you can make yourself a great candidate for these awards. Because I was thinking about this with the question about the US-UK as well. These applications benefit so much from you being able to reflect your passions in the applications, and that's not enough to just say, I'm passionate about the environment, right? Or whatever, fill in the blank there. But to be able to say, I'm passionate about the environment, and here's how I've engaged that passion, in high school, in college. Here are the actions that I'm taking that reflect that passion. That's the important part. And so for any of these opportunities, if you're thinking this isn't the year to apply, that's just fine. But you are interested, then let's meet and talk about what you're doing to reflect the passion you say you have for, in the case of humanity action, human rights, social justice. In the case of NSF-REUs, research. In the case of US-UK, arts and activism. So we can still have very useful conversations with you early on, even if we're talking a year in advance. Okay, moving on. Oh, good. It looks like a good response from Eliza to Lauren there too. Someone asked if Rangel will be online or in person this semester. It's going to be, the goal is to happen in person. So the plan is to actually be in DC, taking tours, having guest speakers come to you, taking classes at Howard University. So if you're uncomfortable with that, I totally get it. But for those of you who feel comfortable, then this is the year to apply. Can you help us with applications for fellowships that you did not present on? Yes, absolutely. If you have some fellowships that you've found that you're interested in, we are happy to assist you with those applications. Same deal, just when you get an email from us, don't hesitate to reach out to set up an appointment. Or I see Natalia provided our email addresses. You can reach out to us there. Will these opportunities be offered in the next school year? They should be, Lauren. All of them have been around for many years now, for as long as I've been doing this, which is since 2014. So I don't expect that they won't be available next year. Are these the only fellowship options where you can help us? We've sort of discussed that already. There is a question here about internships. We don't typically work with internship applications. That's the job of the Career Center, and so we don't want to step on anyone's toes over there. So if you are specifically looking for internships, I would start with them. Do you know if the REU experiences lean more towards juniors and seniors, or do they have ones for freshmen and sophomores? That's a really great question, Eliza. It really varies because it's based on whatever that particular professor is looking for their research project. And so there are some that are going to be more introductory experiences than others. And so you just have to be aware when you're reading it of what what foundation they expect you as the incoming REU to have. And if it seems like they're looking for people who have a significant amount of undergraduate experience under their belt, then I would say that probably isn't the best application for a freshman or sophomore to go for. But if it seems like your experience is going to be predominantly like sorting data or something that doesn't sound like you need a whole lot of previous experience with, then that would probably be a good fit. So just keep that in mind when you're reading that. It really is geared toward freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors, and so it's just about finding which ones require different levels of expertise. Will we be sharing the PowerPoint? Yes. So in addition to sending you all a link to the recording, we will also share the PowerPoint. Do you know of any fellowships that can offer clinical experience to pre-med students? Yeah, there's a few. There's a program at Mayo in Jacksonville called CRISP, I believe, CRISP. That's one I worked with a student a few years ago on an application for that. I don't have a lot of resources. That's really the only one I'm comfortably aware of, but Julia, if you want to email me that question, I can do a little research as well. And it looks like we've covered all of the questions. If give you all a second to come up with any more if you have any.
And again, if you think of one, by the time this is concluded, again, feel free to shoot any of us an email.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Do you know of any fellowships for anti-human trafficking awareness and prevention? Nothing specifically on that topic. I would say that HIA would be a good one for you if you're interested in human trafficking as a topic. Then I would also suggest at FSU, the Center for the Advancement of Human Rights does some work with human trafficking as well. And that's an FSU agency, the Center for the Advancement of Human Rights. Natalia, do you know of any organizations in town that focus on that as well?
Yeah, I can't think off the top of my head. Yeah, none that I'm aware of specifically.
Okay. I would say Ella, I would say look at HIA. And I would also encourage you to check out the Center for Advancement of Human Rights at FSU. Oh, that's true. Yeah, good point, Melissa. Ella, Melissa gives you a good suggestion in the chat box as well. Okay, well, if yes, okay, thank you, Sheila. I knew there was an organization in town that has done some work with that, and it's IRC. So International Rescue Committee is also a great Tallahassee organization, or I think it's a Tallahassee chapter that does some good work focused on human trafficking, specifically addressing that in Tallahassee and in the region of Leon County. Okay, well, thank you all. As Natalia said, if you have any additional questions, don't hesitate to reach out. You'll get an email from us with a link to this recording and the PowerPoint. And if you are looking at any fellowships on that list that we went over and want to apply for them this year, and you're looking at that deadline, think I should probably get working on that now, you go ahead and email us. Our email addresses are in the chat box or right there on your screen, and we are happy to try to get you in our offices this week, in our virtual offices these days. But yeah, thank you so much. It's a real pleasure talking to you all, and I hope your semester is off to a great start and continues in that direction.